imagined our cities as postcards, where we held the paintbrush, how would we design them? Would we make towers as large as possible? Or would we make our cities as inspiring as possible? Would we have skyrise towers, or would we have beautiful curved buildings integrated into the nature around us? Would we make spaces as efficient as possible, or most inspiring and beautiful as possible? In a way, I think we can tell a lot about our authentic human desires by looking at history. The most iconic buildings in the world today are historical ones, or buildings where it wasn't really just about the economic value. The Taj Mahal in India, the Opera House in Sydney, these are places of congregation and human interaction at its finest and most authentic. These spaces showcase romance, music, culture like nothing else. And largely, these spaces were designed outside the constraints of too much efficiency and regulation and price per square foot. So naturally, it's hard to apply these principles to the modern day world. Cities host home to over 50% of the world's population and are beacons of economic power and prosperity. The higher the towers, the greater the sign of power. It's a race to build the fastest, to build the most, to build the strongest, and to host for the cheapest. But does that really represent what people want today? Our cities are the most dense places in the world. You're closer to multiple people here in cities like New York than you are anywhere in the world. So why is it that cities like New York, London, and Tokyo are where people are most isolated, lonely, and depressed? The towers sparkle the brightest, the density is maximized the greatest, yet people smile the least. This really raises a truly important question of whether we're being true to our authentic selves. Because here's the thing, economic growth is subject to diminishing marginal utility. The more cities advance, the more mechanical they become, and the less authentically human they become. Choices become limited to marble or slate, a 24-meter square room or a 30-meter square room, a skyrise view or not a skyrise view. Retailers with the biggest malls become the one-stop shop. Products become commoditized versus handcrafted. It's not bad. It's been a necessary part of progress in economic growth. But the question is, does it really satisfy all human needs? We want and need more, and are seeing a change in tide in the industry and in developed nations at large. There's a realization that human needs need to be put at the epicenter, more authentic, more natural, and more in tune with people's internal desires. And we're seeing this trend across every industry, from travel to e-commerce to property. And human needs are changing really, really fast. So how do we tap into human needs? At large, the co-phenomenon has expressed that it's all about community, flexibility, and service provided on demand. And it's probably not the first time you're hearing these words. I've used these words more in my career that I say them now, and it really just makes me cringe. Because these words really represent surface-level needs. Community is a desire for genuine human interaction and feeling a place of home. Flexibility is a desire for freedom. And services on demand are really a desire to focus on the higher echelons of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, i.e., the beautiful fun stuff versus the boring, daily, mundane stuff. Yet you can't manufacture community. It needs to be authentic and to be authentic, it needs to come from the right place and right motivation. That's perhaps the hardest thing for the real estate industry to get right. My personal background and career has been focused on observing increased consumerization in the built world, and I've been fascinated at what drives great experience. In my early career, I started out in finance on a trading floor in London, and I really thought I'd made it. I was a small town girl from the English countryside, first generation, and really just trying and miserably failing to fit in. I had spent all my summers working at a startup restaurant in the vineyards because I thought it was the most exciting thing I could do with my time and to earn a little bit of money. So it was really quite a realization that I found that I enjoyed my time, genuinely enjoyed my time, waitressing as a restaurant more than I did on a trading floor. I reasoned it was a combination of an environment driven by true passion. Our chef would literally throw plates at the wall if they came back without the food being eaten. It's true passion. And also just the camaraderie between the waiting staff and the nervousness of putting down a dish in front of the customer because you really, really cared about them liking it. And also just seeing that end-to-end experience and to feel an immediate human response from the work. I think this is why we're seeing more fully integrated real estate companies, because if you don't own that end-to-end, you feel more disconnected from it, and it's harder to really pay attention and to really feel that you're building for what the end consumer needs. You need to see that feedback loop. Everything in a good restaurant is done primarily and only to serve the end customer. They are really at the epicenter. Following finance, I worked with technology startups either side of the pond. And what became clear was that everyone was trying to respond to the same thing, what I call the democratization of decision-making, enabled by the internet. The internet has given everyone a proactive voice that companies and corporates cannot avoid and need to respond to in order to stay relevant. Democratized decision-making makes the market move quicker. It can challenge existing products and services, and the advent of technology makes changing products and services more rapid. In real estate, we have an industry that's been slowest able to adapt to change. That's why companies that provide platforms and services to create change via technological layers faster or construct digital applications are seeing increased and enhanced value and valuations, because it is key. The built world can't do it alone and needs to work hand in hand with technology. As for our personal consumer needs in the built world, or my realization that early in life I preferred waitressing to working on a trading floor, in a world where this kind of human-centric work is increasingly rare, we need to solve for this human-centric craving in a different way. People are searching for it in the way our workspaces are designed, in the way our living environments are. So if we were to draw our city as a postcard, genuine human interaction would be a pretty big element. It wouldn't just be about the shape of the buildings. It would be about how these buildings radiate true connections between one another. Applying this to the here and now, human interaction is solved for by co-something, co-living and co-working. With my company, Vivahouse, it's been rather assumptive. I always used to get asked, so you're a co-living company, right? Before I used to say, not quite. We've developed a revolutionary flat pack system that allows you to set up and construct spaces in 50% of the time and cost of traditional construction. And then we provide a service layer to operate these sites as hospitality or residential places and provide an experiential service layer, which is quite a mouthful. So now I just say, yes, we're in the co-living business. even though I don't really like categorizing what we do too much. It's putting it in a box to make it clear to the end investor. And really what we should be doing is thinking, how are we making it most beneficial to the end user? And enhanced living experiences will mean different things to different people. We need to design and deliver spaces that meet people's personalized needs, but in a way that they can harmoniously live with people that may have different needs. And that's really quite a complex task. One reality is that of roommates over spouses. Renting numbers have doubled in the last 10 years, and this is a trend that will continue and likely not reverse. Our generation is seeking more asset-light ways to live, and we're seeing increasingly numbers of people living with roommates versus even being married or living as a married couple. The new norm for millennials is to live in a flat share. So what we should really be thinking about is how do natural and authentic interactions between roommates or flatmates look like? What is the aspirational type of interaction? Is it getting coffee together on site? Is it going to the gym together in a co-living building? Or is it cooking a meal together in the communal kitchen? It's better that we truly figure these things out before building for them, because building for them without figuring them out could be a costly mistake. We've done quite a lot of user research, and what we found was really interesting because people were craving a sense of gratitude and appreciation, people who stay in our co-living developments or want to stay in them. One of the residents' ideas was to have a gratitude jar, where you can leave little notes such as, who's up for pizza later tonight, or thanks for leaving that bar of chocolate in the kitchen. In a time where there's so much focus on technology and app-driven interactions, it raises a really interesting question. Is technology adapting to humans, or are humans adapting to technology? In our postcard of an ideal city, we can't see technology. It just quietly enables in the background. It should make us feel safer, more time-rich, and more informed, adding utility and making experiences we want to enjoy much easier. Technology should be adaptive to what people truly want rather than enforcing unnatural behavior. Either that or technology needs to be a no-brainer to use, like a dating app. If it's not so simple as a swipe left or right, it needs to really provide value to stay relevant. In cities, this has been well solved for with ordering a cab or ordering a meal tonight, basic daily needs. The technology stack to better enable living and working at large is a little bit more complex, as those needs are a little bit more complex. Trying to do it all raises a big question. Can we really turn housing into a service? Not just a place to sleep, but a layered, personalized experience where home can be booked and consumed as easy as a bite to eat. And why would we want to do this? Because services offer participation versus permanence, and so, quite simply, allow people to feel a lot more free. Freedom and flexibility being other innate human desires. So what do you need to be free? Monthly rolling contracts are one thing, but cheap enough rent to have enough disposable income to use on what you want is quite another. That's perhaps the argument for micro-living. Micro-rooms sort of split the crowd in this industry. You either think, yikes, that room doesn't look great, or man, that's awesome efficiency. Investors like them because the numbers stack pretty well, but they find it hard to get their heads around how people can share a bathroom or survive with just a tiny kitchenette. We've had a number of conversations where we've been told anything less than a 16-meter room is a birdcage. The reality is most second or third bedrooms and flat shares are much smaller than a bird cage, and they're really expensive bird cages. This is the reality of our urban cities. This is how the biggest amount of the population is living. It's recognizing that perhaps it doesn't have to all just be about a room. It's that the idea of home and family may not be what it's been in the past. A home can be your place to stay for a month. Your family can be your kitchen sharing friends who you cook and eat with. An extreme example of this in the emerging market is a standalone modular unit. The idea behind these units is that you should be able to have a home within a 20-meter squared and fully flexible, ergonomically designed one at that. Products like the Japanese-made Muji can sell you a home for $20,000. You just need to go out and find the land and install it as a flat pack, as easy as IKEA. What if you had a number of these on a plot of land forming a community and an application where you could timeshare them so you could drop around to other communities? That would certainly provide freedom and novelty, and it's a whole new definition of home. The thing is that humans crave both safety and stability as well as novelty. We want to be kept safe, but also excited and delighted. So we really need to figure out how we blend both of these into a living environment, because that's the only way living environments will stay sticky. The products and services that do this best are the ones that will stand the test of time. Everyone is seeking home or that subconscious stability, all to slightly different degrees. If you look at the Wikipedia definition of home, it's this: the place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or a household. This is perhaps a little bit outdated, right? Because it reflects the state of the current industry, real estate stock, which is for years being built, and being built because there was an active audience for it. But what's the reality today? How many people are living somewhere permanent or with a member of family? Even the word permanent causes quite a bit of confusion. We live in a world today where very little is permanent. Everything is impermanent. Homes need to operate in this new reality. So maybe it's that our homes are our cities versus one particular building. If that's the case, then we really need to design our cities to feel like home. I think one big lesson for the real estate industry is this: design and true user experience can be diverging. i.e., what we think people want and what they actually care about can be quite different. When we're talking about building buildings, this can end in very costly mistakes. Not that the developer always pays, but that people end up paying in their day-to-day being a little less great. People's natural desire paths are the paths of least resistance and least friction. If they're not being catered for or fulfilled adequately, they'll rip through and emerge regardless, often causing havoc as a consequence. To succeed in building cities for humans, we need to be able to predict emerging desire paths. And in real estate, these are changing even more frequently than ever. So it's a good thing that the deepest of human desires tend to be most constant. So we should really pay attention to these. So this whole vision may seem a little bit of a utopia, as we're operating in the most regulated industry of all, and one with massive borders and constraints. Imagination is really a tool to break through these borders. In my case with Vivahouse, it was imagination and a lot of naivety. Borders are good, though, because it's where imagination gets started. So we can use these borders to our advantage to get creative, as long as we're brave enough and patient enough to do so, because true change really does take time. So if our cities were a postcard that we were able to paint ourselves, they would be wholly human-centric. A big helping of genuine human interaction, a dash of enabling technology, a chunk of stability, and a source of novelty and freedom. Each building and each dish would be presented with its own unique creative flair. Building cities for humans is possible as long as humans serve as the primary motivation. Getting that motivation right and at the forefront is perhaps our biggest challenge. But if we don't, there may be a bigger uprising ahead. Thank you.